What's up, guys? I am back with another video today, and tonight we've got the NASCAR Xfinity Series race review to do. Obviously, their playoff opener in Las Vegas, and just like the truck race last night, especially for some playoff guys, this race was chaotic. Maybe not as entirely as chaotic as the truck race was, but there was still chaos nonetheless. And for a few guys, it definitely hurt some playoff chances. So, with all that being said, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and make sure to use code NJJ for free shipping. On orders of $20 or more. And my laptop, desk almost tips over because I'm trying to pull over a box because I do have a diecast review I get to do later. Um, Probably will be up tomorrow, but we'll get to that later. So, with all that being said, let's get into this. So nobody ended up going to the rear. Right out of the gate, NASCAR is reportedly looking at BJ McLeod's car for any possible issues. Not sure what. And it doesn't look like anything was going wrong. Harrison Burton reported that Justin Allgaier might have been leaking oil, and this might have been a thing throughout the night. Um, but it was hard to really tell for the most part. Um, Allgaier's spotter said that Noah Gragson said the same thing as Burton, that there might be an oil leak with Allgaier's car, but he reported that his oil pressure and his other gears were good. They had the competition caution on lap 25. Allgaier pitted. They did not change tires. They would check to make sure nothing was leaking. And then on the first turn of the first lap, after the competition caution, we get ourselves a Las Vegas big one. Probably one of the biggest wrecks at a non-super speedway that we've seen in a while. So basically, it literally happened right after the restart and continued going into turn one. Basically, what happened was, a bunch of drivers fanned out towards the middle of the pack, and they got four, damn near five wide. Herbst, it was primarily like Herbst, Josh Berry, um, I think Jeb Burton, somebody else, whatever. It's Burton, Berry, um, and Herbst, and I think somebody else. They got four, almost five wide, pretty much, and like three of them got squeezed together. Uh, and that was how the wreck started. Herbst got turned down. It either looked like he hit not Jordan Anderson, Ty Dillon, who was driving Jordan Anderson's car, or Dillon avoided him. But either way, Herbst got turned, and that's how the wreck started. And it was calamity. And a bunch of cars got wadded up in this one. Um, Jeb Burton, Jeremy Clements, Riley Herbst, JJ Yaley, Alex LeBay, Sam Mayer, Joe Graff Jr., Timmy Hill, Bailey Curry, Dylan Lupton. I mentioned Ty Dillon. It's hard to tell if he actually got hit in the right side or not um, by Herbst, but he was listed on the board. Brandon Brown and BJ McLeod, they were all involved one way or the other. Um, and yeah, like a bunch of cars were up against each other, up against the turn one wall. Yeah, it was huge and sucks because you have Burton, Herbst, and Clements all in the playoffs. Speaking of Clements, huge shout out to him for a couple of reasons. One, he had the names of the people that or the soldiers that died at the Kabul airport um, earlier this year on the deck lid of his car, so that was a nice tribute. And he had on the side of the car, he had Eric Estepp's Out of the Groove logo, which was really cool. And unfortunately, Clements, as I said, got caught up in this one. So Herbst, Clements, and Burton, all three of them with a huge hole to climb out of. And it's not going to get any easier for them because they got to go to Talladega next weekend, on my birthday, no less. And then there's Charlotte Roval. It's not looking good. And I feel so bad for Clemens because this is a guy who he's finished the majority of the races he's been in, he's been on the lead lap for so many of them, and I think he said it himself that that might have been his first DNF of the year. They pointed his way into the playoffs. I saw a stat earlier that throughout the season he's ran like over what over 10,000 laps or almost 10,000 laps or something like that. I'm not sure how the math adds up, but regardless, I would have to look back at it again. But regardless, he's ran so many of these races this year without DNFing. Pretty much all of them. Yes, he's had some issues at times, but he hasn't DNF'd. And tonight, in the worst possible scenario, he DNFs. Um, so yeah, you hate that for Burton, you hate that for Clements, you hate that for Herbst. More bad luck for Sid Meier after he ran really well at Bristol last weekend. You know, and pretty much everybody else that was involved. They got and yeah, it sucked. Um, Barry only escaped with slight damage to the right front. And officially, Joe Graf Jr., Sam Mayer, Jeb Burton, J.J. Yaley, Dylan Lupton, Alex LeBay, Jeremy Clements, and Riley Herbst would all be done for the night. Yeah, it sucked. AJ Allmendinger would end up taking stage one, though, with Danny Hemrick second, Austin Cindric third, Ty Gibbs fourth, Noah Gragson fifth, Harrison Burton sixth, Ryan Sieg seventh, Brandon Jones eighth, Josh Berry in ninth, and Brett Moffitt in 10th. Gragson, he ended up getting a penalty on pit road for driving through too many pit boxes. He would report that his steering wheel came off while he was on pit road, and they noted this on the broadcast. At least it came off then and not on the racetrack. And Dale Jr., Noah doesn't have to look far to know how that would turn out, because that happened to Dale Jr. a few years back. Luckily, nothing bad happened other than the steering wheel coming off, because I think Earnhardt wheeled it around with his hand on the steering column as he's getting the steering wheel back on. So yeah, scary moment. Um, and then we got a caution early in stage two. Ryan Sieg spins off of turn two, and Jade Buford makes contact with the back of Sieg's car as he slides down the turn, ripping off the bumper partly. Brandon Jones would pit under the caution, reporting a vibration, possibly not having all the lug nuts tightened on the right rear. Allgaier there would be looked at to see if he was possibly leaking fluid, and then Harrison Burton dropped back. So who really knows there? But Allgaier would take the stage two victory. Ty Dillon second, Cindric third, Gragson fourth, Hemrick fifth, Barry sixth, Gibbs seventh, Moffitt eighth, Allgaier ninth, and Justin Haley 10th. Ty Dillon would pit in the wrong pit stall and have to get to his own, so he had a long stop. Gragson had a speeding penalty, and Justin Haley apparently had a radio plug fall out. So that happened as well. CJ McLaughlin gets a black flag. He had to get back to minimum speed. We get a caution for a Justin Haley spin, courtesy of Brett Moffitt. Can't really tell if it was intentional or not, but it happened. Gragson tagged the wall a little bit at one point. Didn't really affect him. We get green flag pit stops, and the only penalty that came out of that would be a Ty Gibbs speeding penalty. Justin Allgaier would assume the lead once the pit stop cycled out, but Josh Berry went yeet, and he went right around him. And Josh Berry would hold on to win at Las Vegas, the second time he's won this year. Remember, he won in the 8 car back at Martinsville earlier this year when he was driving that car for the first half of the year, because Sam Mayer was not old enough to drive in the Xfinity Series by their rules, because he had his birthday around Pocono, and that's when he'd be able to race. So Barry gets his second win of the season, and that's huge for him, because going into next year, he's going to be a part of the team full time. And it's already been announced that JRM is going to be Barry, Mayer, Gragson, and Allgaier. So obviously that brings the question of, well, what is Annett going to do? Palkris answered somebody's question about that earlier. As far as Annett goes, it's basically Annett's decision. If he wants to race, if they've got the funding for him and the sponsorship, he'll race. They'll field a 5th car for him. They said that they won't field a 5th car for Annett unless he wants to race. And if he doesn't, that's up to him. With his leg injuries that he suffered during the season and the fact that he had to miss some races, he did race a little bit, a couple of times before the end of the regular season, but unfortunately missing those races knocked him out of the playoffs, and it just became too much to deal with. So he's had to continuously sit out. And therefore, and Barry has stepped in to run that car in most of the races that Annett has had to sit out from, um, including New Hampshire when I got to go there. Uh, Chase Elliott, and Austin Dillon have also driven it, but it's been Barry for the most part. Um, but the thing to notice is when Barry's in that one car, it's like it's like night and day compared to Annett. And that's no knock against Annett. I've said before that Annett deserves a lot more respect than he gets because he seems like he gets slandered, and it kind of feels that way with the way that Barry's been running that car. And it's simply because Annett, yes, he's not contending for wins. No, he's not. He flies under your radar, but he brings the car home in one piece. That's been his thing. So, but honestly, with the leg injuries and him having to miss races and how Barry's performed in that car, I mean, and the fact that it's basically up to Annett if he wants to race anymore, and if he does, then Jerem said that they will field a fifth car for him. But he might make the choice to step away and possibly retire, and sort of officially pass that ride on to Barry because I mean, it might be that time for him. Um, it is what it is. But again, congratulations to Josh Berry on the big win. And what's crazy is we've seen two guys in the truck and the Xfinity race, both of which not in the playoffs, and they both picked up W's. I'm interested to see how the Cup race tomorrow night is going to be. Will we see a new winner tomorrow night as well? And how much chaos will be involved with the playoff guys? And considering how the first round went for the playoff guys in the Cup Series and the amount of chaos in all three races, I'm expecting more chaos. And the round of two is the round of chaos. Let's be honest here. So, with all that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you all next time. Peace!